All right, welcome to historic Turner Hall, where we are talking with the mayoral candidates for Milwaukee.
And we start with the current Milwaukee County Sheriff, Earnell Lucas. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, let's get into it. So, in the zip code of 53208, the median income is just above $36,000. 26% of those families live below the poverty line. My question to you is, how will you create jobs and job training to help communities like 53208 thrive?
We see a number of challenges in the city of Milwaukee with jobs. Certainly, employment opportunities are not available in all neighborhoods in the city of Milwaukee, as well as we face a number of other challenges. It's going to be incumbent of the next mayor to have the ability to go in and work with the business community and create job opportunities, bring new businesses here to the city of Milwaukee, as well as to help grow those existing businesses so that they can hire new employees from the city of Milwaukee and again, increase the job base. But more importantly, we got to create employment opportunities here, such as the freshwater science projects. That's emerging technology. I think lead abatement is going to be emerging sector here in the city of Milwaukee. So I see great opportunities. No, without a doubt, we have challenges, but I see great opportunities.
Is there anything specific, an idea that you would like to try that would enhance those goals?
Well, I see, again, us coming out of the pandemic, there's going to be a lot of investment, I think, in the city of Milwaukee. So it's tapping into those investors, private equity and or businesses who haven't made a lot of investment over the last 2 years because, again, finding employees have been challenging. I think coming out of that, there's great opportunities.
So let me ask you a follow-up. All right. You have said on your platform that you want to develop neighborhood curation programs, set aside programs for Milwaukeeans that enhance home ownership and stabilize neighborhoods. So my question for you is that a majority of Center City residents are renters. What is your plan to get more home ownership and assistance to revitalize those communities, those neighborhoods where home ownership is possible for all?
And certainly that's an evolution of when I was growing up, Charles, in those neighborhoods. Those were owner-occupied homes, and certainly over the last 30, 40 years, we've seen a migration where that is no longer the case. We've got to get back to that point where, again, more home ownership in the central city and all throughout the city of Milwaukee. Again, it's by partnering with businesses and corporations who bring employees here, help them grow and establish in neighborhoods, working with the community development corporations. A majority of your community development corporations don't have the representation of people from the central city of Milwaukee. And I think by helping those entities grow their ranks with people from the city of Milwaukee, we can then help partner with the Common Council and the city of Milwaukee to create more home ownership opportunities here.
How do you feel about that?
So when you say curation programs, what are you talking about there? And is there a partnership the city doesn't have that you would want to see? Well,
again, I think we need to be more strategic and more purposeful in our moving from owner or occupancy to ownership. And how we do that, again, is by partnering with the business community, with the private equity sectors, and help those prospective owners get capital to put down payments on homes and to purchase homes. So we've seen programs here in the city that have not been very effective at providing those opportunities here in the city of Milwaukee. We've got to do better.
So one thing that Milwaukee has is a constant. It doesn't have enough resources to fix the problems that need to be fixed. So my question is, where is your priority and where would you lobby the money to get the money you need to fix a lot of what we just spoke about?
Well, as mayor, our most pressing challenge is our violent crime problem here in the city of Milwaukee. We've got to figure that out because that has got to be priority one to our prosperity. And so it's going to be important for us to work as a community, the Fire and Police Commission in conjunction with the Police Department and the Common Council and the community to develop a plan that can reduce the amount of homicide, and reduce the guns in our community, the reckless driving, and make our community more safe and more vibrant for business opportunities for people to live in and to grow in.
Do you feel like, though, that too much on crime will deplete the resources from other quality of life issues that Milwaukee faces?
No, because there's a number of quality of life issues, challenges that we face, whether it is the lack of housing, the health care in our community. We find a number of pressing challenges. Education system in our community is broken and need to be fixed. We've got to do more, and again, it underlies all of our problems, whether it's the crime problem, whether it's the health problem, and other issues. Is education. How do we partner with all segments of education here in our city to help improve the outcomes for people of the city of Milwaukee?
So, Sheriff, public safety, fighting crime, this is your lane. You were a Milwaukee police captain. You are now the sheriff of the county. But you are talking about finding measurable and sustainable goals for reducing violent crime and then holding each other accountable. So can you give me an example of a measurable goal that you would set for the city? And if it's not met, who would you hold accountable?
Well, certainly, we've seen an increase in the violent crime rate. Homicides are up at an all-time high. Auto thefts are up at an all-time high. And pretty much every indicator in the city points to that there's crime on the increase. We've got to be able to set goals, and they be measurable, and then hold people accountable for reaching their goals. I've got to work with the Fire and Police Commission and the Common Council. The Fire and Police Commission oversees the day-to-day operations of the police department. I would expect them in about 90 days to come back with a plan for increasing homicide clearance rates, for example, to get it up over the 50%. We enjoyed rates in my early days in the police department of over 80% clearance rates. We're now under 50%. That's one area. The number of auto thefts in our city. What are we doing to tackle that problem? Do we have an auto theft detail here in the city of Milwaukee Police Department that we once had that was able to focus in on auto theft rings and the like? So those are just two examples of the many issues that we have where, again, we can set goals. They must be measurable, and we must hold people accountable. And at the end of the day, Charles, that which is measured is what gets done. And so we've got to start setting some goals and start getting some things done.
So what does that look like, though? Because currently, as you said, we are below 50% clearance rate. There's no one going to Chief Norman saying, you need to do better. What we're seeing is that this is what it is, and we're trying to tackle the problem. So where does this accountability come in from the top of the government, from mayor, to say this is unacceptable? How do we then make a difference?
Well, the mayor appoints the Fire and Police Commission, and the Fire and Police Commission governs both the fire and police departments. Obviously, it's the work of the Fire and Police Commission, but again, the mayor must be accountable for the actions of the Fire and Police Commission. So I'm going to engage the Fire and Police Commission on a plan, a strategy for reducing crime in our city and holding them accountable. They've got to understand that this is the most pressing challenge of our time right now, and we've got to do something to solve it. And they are the people that have the answers and can work with the police department in order to get this job done.
I'm going to say one thing about that, because that's a very thin line, Sheriff Lucas, because you appoint the Fire and Police Commission members, but the Fire and Police Commission is supposed to work for the community. So if they are beholden to the mayor, how are then they beholden to the community to make sure that that department that they are supposed to watch is doing what they need to do?
Oh, no, I think, and of course, they're confirmed by the Common Council. So we all play a role in this. It's a partnership. The community, yes, can call on the Fire and Police Commission, and I think in recent years we've seen improvements in the Fire and Police Commission listening to our community. We must be better listeners to the issues of our community. And again, the Common Council does confirm those commissioners as well. So all of us play a role, but again, the mayor must chart the course, must chart the vision, and ensure that the appointees in city government are achieving those goals.
Do you think Milwaukee needs more police officers or better police policies to address these crime issues?
One of the things I've learned in my 4 decades of law enforcement experience, Charles, is that we've got to do 2 things well. One, we've got to train our members to ensure that they're out there doing the right things. And 2, we've got to supervise our members to ensure that they're doing things the right way. It's important for us in this community to find the right size of the police department here in our city for today, and then ensure that we're providing the proper training as well as providing the proper supervision. Those are the 2 key components that keep law enforcement agencies out of courtrooms and large judgments and awards to individuals as a result of police action.
So when you look at the number of sworn officers in the department now, especially after this year with the classes that they have, would you guarantee that number of officers, or do you want more officers, and where would you get that money if you have to hire more officers?
Well, certainly the Common Council has appropriated money out of the ARPA funding.
Which is one-time funding, right?
Which is one-time funding. So we've got to find other funding sources here in the city of Milwaukee. But we've got to find, again, alternatives to policing. I know that there's a review currently of the 911 system here in the city of Milwaukee. That effort has got to get out in front and on the table as well, because not everything that historically the police have responded to requires a police response. For example, responding to mental health issues in our community. We know that there's a better alternative, and that is a partnership between the mental health community, law enforcement, other medical practitioners to that challenge. We must find solutions and alternatives than simply just a police response.
Do you think that there's a better use of the Office of Violence Prevention when it comes to when you talk about partnerships between the police department, community, and dealing with those other issues that may not, as you say, be a police response?
Mm-hmm. I think the Office of Violence Prevention does a great job here in our community. And they've got to partner with other community-based organizations. I think it's going to be key to our success, that not only do we have an entity working within city government that is working for violence prevention solutions, but that we also have entities working outside the community, the faith-based community, the philanthropic community, and other communities that can partner with the efforts of law enforcement as well as Office of Violence Prevention to impact the violent crime in our community.
But do you think that they need a more prominent role in this fight of violent crime? Because it appears that a lot of times violence prevention, the Office of Violence Prevention, comes in, swoops in at a press conference, and yes, they may be doing some stuff on the back end, but they could better be used to partner seriously with the department to help with some of these issues.
Well, just by their name, violence prevention, they obviously have to be out in front of the efforts here in our city in order to help us address and reduce the amount of violent crime in our community. So obviously, they ought to be focused on preventative measures and then not just simply responding to crime in our community.
When we talk about housing, when we talk about education, when we talk about public safety, you're a guy who grew up in Milwaukee. You've seen all the various neighborhoods. What game-changing idea would you have to address the systemic poverty that exists in the city that could help solve all of these other issues?
There's a number of variables. Charles, I've looked at a number of studies over the course of this journey to this office, and we have to look at, again, all of the issues that are impacting the outcomes here for males, for youth in our community, and families in our community. And what efforts can government do in conjunction with the community, in conjunction with the philanthropic community and other partners, investors in our community. How do we bring all that together? That's going to be the role of the mayor, to bring all of those entities together to work on all of the systemic issues in our community, to address the housing shortage in our community, to address the crime and violence community in our problem, as well as to address the education and other issues in our community. It's bringing everyone together, and that's what a mayor should do.
I think that segues into our last question. How do you define unity, and how can you explain examples of your leadership where you've been able to bring and unify people together like Milwaukee needs?
I think unity obviously is the absence of the tensions that we see here in our city. We've become so divided in our country and right here in our community. And we've got to be able to solve our issues. We can have differences, but we've got to be able to solve our problems and work together. I have the experience of working in the private sector at Major League Baseball, in communities all across the country, as well as working right here at home, both in the police department and the sheriff's office, bringing in entities from the outside to work with us to help us do better at our job. And so it's going to be incumbent upon me as mayor to work with all of the entities and all the groups here so that we work more cooperatively and more productively.
Sheriff Lucas, we appreciate your time. Good luck.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.